So 3 days and 46 live demos later, I got a really good look at what E3 2012 had to offer. And though XCOM Enemy Unknown, the combat really piqued my interest, and Beyond Two Souls really just sort of sparked my imagination, honestly, it was Dishonored that's gonna go home with my personal favorite of E3 2012.
So for me, Dishonored sort of came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't really think too much of it in the lead up to the show, because all that we really saw was a few trailers. And it kind of looked interesting. You're supposed to be an assassin in a steampunk world, and I kind of dug, what the trailer stuff that I saw beforehand. But when I actually saw it running live on our stage show this year, it absolutely blew me away. I'm a massive fan of the original Thief series, and I've been hankering for like more of that same sort of gameplay.
Plus, that world is just really intriguing to me, and visually it draws me in. The faces of the assassination target that they showed, that guy, just like his drawn out haughty face, just made me really want to stick it to him. Also, the fact that I knew he had totally screwed me over helped.
And I'm also really looking forward to the fact that this does seem to be a genuine sort of open-ended experience. So the developers have actually come out and said, even though you're an assassin and your job is to kill people, you can actually complete this entire game without killing one person. So I'm really looking forward to this game, and I can't wait for it to come out, and I think it's out in October this year.
On the one hand, I have a game that I know I'm gonna love, Assassin's Creed 3, which looks fantastic. I've seen that game a couple of times already, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The idea of taking the open world traversal and stealth mechanics of an Assassin's Creed game and applying those to the idea of wandering around these seasonal forests in Revolutionary era America, that sounds amazing.
My personal game of E3 2012 would have to be Far Cry 3. I was really excited when I saw it in the Ubi press conference. I'm amazed that they've announced 4-player co-op. I think the characterization is probably the thing that excites me the most. I mean, the whole the definition of insanity and all that kind of stuff. It's a really interesting twist to kind of take the game toward, in terms of sort of the unpredictability of the characters and like the danger inherent. And I think it gives them a lot of freedom to do whatever they want with it, because crazy people are capable of anything. So,
favorite game from E3 2012 is easily The Last of Us from Naughty Dog. I was blown away with what I saw at the press conference, and then I was lucky enough to see it behind closed doors. And they played through kind of that same section of the game, but they played through it very differently, and that put all of my doubts to rest.
It got kind of caught up in the brutality of the game, and I think that's a really important thing to set the scene in this place and the motivations for these amazing characters. And the relationship that we saw at the start of with Joel and Ellie, I think is going to go much deeper than the tip that we've already seen.
So yeah, like Ellie, the way she, for the most part, it seems like she just kind of follows you around, and she's not necessarily that useful, but then, when your gun runs out of ammo, if she has a brick handy or something like that, she'll throw it at a dude. During the second demo I got to see, it played out kind of differently. She did not have a brick handy, and so when the enemy was on top of me, well, on top of Joel I should say, she kind of just jumped on top of him, and she got thrown off pretty quickly, but that gave you the second that you needed to get back to your feet and kind of fight for your life.
Some of it was fast and frenetic, some of it was really slow and rewarded exploration, and I'm really excited about a game that looks like it's the true Western sort of next push into survival horror.
So I've played an unfathomable number of hours of all the previous LEGO games because I have two boys, both under 10. I mean, what drew me to Lego City Undercover was that as my kids have grown up with the Lego games and as I've played them, I think we're all ready for a lot more. And it was great to see that the game franchise almost kind of growing with my very personal approach, but with my family as our sort of needs from a game like that have grown. I want something more if I'm going to continue to play with my family, and my boys want something more from it. And the fact that they took this sort of open world idea, borrowed heavily from sort of GTA-style games, but kept that sense of humor that the LEGO games have. There were a bunch of games at E3 that I can't wait to play, but that one is top of my list.
I played a lot of games at E3 this year, but still my favorite one was the first title I played. And it's not the top, I think, of it on everyone's list, but for me personally, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is still my game of E3. Platinum's style of a third-person action game is really fast-paced and kind of combo-heavy, and you know, it's not, there is some technique involved, but it's kind of that arcade twitch action that I love so much. You know, this definitely delivers, and Raiden's character has a very strong affinity for that sort of action. And it speaks to me, I guess, and everything else I saw was really good. But personally, that's going to be the game that I remember from this trip. I got to meet Kojima right after I played the game. That's going to stick with me for a while. Just can't wait to play it, you know. But it's been my first E3. It's been a great one, and I couldn't ask for more than, I guess, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Through the show, I just had a great time playing Need for Speed today in fact, a couple of hours ago. I mean, personally, I love Criterion games, love racing games. Could be a British thing, who knows, but they make really great racing games, and their demo was really well put together. It was just, sit down, we'll tell you a little bit about it, and then you're just going to play multiplayer. With this demo, you basically drop in as a group, and at random it just generates challenges for you in the group to take place. So some of them it's just a race, some of them you've got to try and get the fastest time over a speed camera, you've got to get the longest jump. So these little random generated challenges, and they're just thick and fast. And I think it's that element of it, like something like Trials, where it's so quick, it's a quick fix, that it's so regular that it's so addictive. And so, of all the demos that I've seen, the one that was hardest for me to tear myself away from was Need for Speed Most Wanted. It was so much fun, and I can't wait to play that game. It's the very definition of day one purchase for me. So, yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted.
My game of the show would have to be Persona 4 Arena. Apologies to the Injustice fans out there. That game looks like a lot of fun, but I've just got a soft spot in my heart for Arc System Works and the work that they do. I really loved Guilty Gear, played it a bunch when I was in college, and Persona reminds me a lot of that game. It's got a lot of the same systems, it's got a really bright, vibrant art style, the action is fast and insane, just like you'd expect from an Arc Systems game, and yet it felt really easy to get into. I only got to play a handful of matches, but the controls, it's a 4-button layout. It was really easy for me to pick up and start having fun with. The moves were very easy to read and figure out how to start putting them together and start bringing out combos of the individual characters. I really look forward to sitting down and really exploring that game more in depth.
My favorite game of E3 is kind of the antithesis of what I usually preach about games, because I like originality and all this crazy new stuff. But my favorite game is Pikmin 3, which is basically the same as Pikmin 2, which came out 8 years ago. But it's such a unique game, like within the context of what the industry does, that it's like there hasn't been anything else like it in the last 8 years. So getting my hands on the controller and it only lasted 7 minutes, but getting my hands on the controller for those 7 minutes, it was just like I was once again warped back to my living room 8 years ago into this magical, just incredible game. When you've been waiting for this long for a sequel, I guess it's just like, it's gonna grab you, and this one totally grabbed me again, and I'm excited for the Wii U launch, mostly to get my hands on a complete version of this, which will hopefully have more than just the single player. I'd love to see the co-op and the competitive play return.
So my game of E3 2012 is Project P100. I wasn't really that interested in the Wii U before seeing this, and just the gameplay and the visual design of it just really impressed me. People are saying it's sort of a combination of Beautiful Joe meets Pikmin, but it's kind of really different from that. You pretty much have your basic normal attacks, but you also have these Unite attacks with heroes that you meet all around the city. When you find citizens asking for help, you can actually collect them up by touching the touch screen or using the right analog stick to recruit them into your party. It was both intense, a little frustrating, but also rewarding just to take them out. And it just seems like a really fun game. I want to play the rest of it, and I might actually buy a Wii U for once instead of just jacking one from the office.
So my highlight of E3 2012 has got to be Rayman Legends. It came out on the stage show with Ubisoft, and it absolutely smashed the audience to pieces. I remember the crowd sound as they were doing the rhythm tapping using the Wii U tablet. Yeah, it's going to be on the Wii U as well, which is great. Every single thing they showed off just looked awesome. They were like, you can do this cool stuff, you can do this cool stuff. Everyone was going crazy for it, and I remember that being the peak of my excitement during all of the conferences that we've seen so far.
I think after all the smoke has cleared, Star Wars 1313 was made a really huge impact on me, and it's not just because the game itself looks spectacular. It was one of the first games at E3 where I was like, wow, that is definitely not a this generation game. But beyond that, it was also kind of that weird Star Wars fantasy that I've always had where it's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if ILM and all the other components of Lucasfilm got together and made a game? It brings the cinematic quality to this game that I think few other games possess, in the sense that it exists in the gameplay, not just in the cutscenes, and that's a big deal for me in terms of just kind of the visual style that this delivers and things like that. But I think there's so many other things going on that are of interest to Star Wars fans, such as the setting, the 1313 setting, and the fact that, you know, it doesn't really have, there's no indication that there will be Jedi of any sort. And I think that's cool, because I'm kind of burned out on Jedi. Jedi are awesome and everything, but we've had our fill of them over the last few years, and it's cool that LucasArts is kind of, you know, taking the focus off them and putting it on one of the cooler aspects of the Star Wars universe, which is the bounty hunters.
Best game of E3, it's a difficult one because I didn't play too many of them, but on the stage I was lucky enough to be around people playing them and telling them why all their games were so great. And I think probably the one that I was surprised with the most was Unfinished Swan. This game has been around for a while, it's been floating in the indie scene for a couple of years now. And it's just, it reminds me of those games like when you first saw stuff about Portal, like interesting concept, introduced early, building on it, and then sort of lots of surprises that happen throughout the rest of the tight campaign or story mode. In these types of games, when they introduce concepts like that are so basic, it's all about unraveling it in interesting and different ways. So we've shown the different color paint in it, then we brought into this environment that had lots of shading and shadows in our architecture that was already very visible, to be able to see that game up close. And relatively close to release as well, coming out next couple of months. That was really exciting. So yeah, I was definitely, probably my game of show, and definitely the one that I enjoyed the most on the stage show.
So my personal game of the show is pretty easily Watch Dogs. It came out of the blue, we didn't see it coming, and the demonstration, Ubisoft took a long time to really let that game build some tension. And what makes it most intriguing for me is the is the way that you can see so much information about the people around you at a glance.
I really enjoyed seeing something fresh and original, and that hacking mechanic and that conceit is not completely untreated in video games, but certainly not something we've seen repeated ad nauseum this year.
You see really detailed personal info about them. It might reveal that someone is like HIV positive or something really intimate like that, and other details like their personal income and things, and you can use that to blackmail them or use that information against them.
You know, it's really interesting to sort of inspect the way that you as the player will interact to that information. And I'm really interested to see how open-ended this game really is. The demonstration saw one possibility of causing a car accident to get to your target, to kill your target. But I'm wondering, what are the other possibilities?
There's something a little bit techy, something a little bit science fiction, and just the idea of having this supreme technology dominion over an entire city, I find very exciting.
If I can hack into different systems, if I can turn out lights, if I can get information about individuals, where is that going to lead? I'm really excited to find out, and all indications are that Watch Dogs will, if anything else, be incredibly interesting.